The meeting of the Atlantic County Board of Commissioners is called to order. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the Atlantic County Board of Commissioners was provided in the following manner. Published in the Press of Atlantic City and mailed to the Hamilton Gazette and has been posted on the bulletin boards in the County Office Building in Atlantic City, the Stillwater Building in Northfield, and the County Clerk's Office in Mays Landing. Have an opening prayer.
Dear Lord, I pray that you guide us always, satisfy the needs that need to be met during this meeting, and strengthen us to make wise decisions for the betterment of our Atlantic County community. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Stand. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Chairwoman Commissioner Days and Commissioner Gatto will be late today. Commissioner Corsi is attending virtually.
Okay, thank you.
Ballas?
Present.
Bertino?
Here.
Burns?
Here.
Corsi? Parker?
Present.
Risley?
Here.
Kern?
Here. Commissioners had an opportunity to review the minutes from September 17, 2024. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the September 17, 2024 minutes as presented.
Moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Parker, seconded by Commissioner Risley. Roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns? Yes. Corsi? Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes. Anyone attending in person who would like to speak regarding an agenda item or a public comment, please come to the podium, speak into the microphone, state your name and the town where you reside. You will then be provided up to 3 minutes to speak. If you're attending virtually and would like to speak, please raise your hand during the agenda item or at public comment at the end. I will call upon your name and a request to you to unmute will be sent. Please state your name and the town you reside. You will be provided up to 3 minutes to speak. Okay, we now have an interview for appointment.
Appointment of Wendy Bartlett to the Atlantic County Improvement Authority for a term to expire on May 1st, 2029.
Moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Ballas, seconded by Commissioner Risley. And we have Wendy Bartlett. Oh, you go right here. Do you want to make any statement first, Wendy?
Not really. Hello, everyone. Thank you for considering me for this position. I know the ACIA is doing great things in Atlantic County, and I'd be happy to be part of it. Can you hear me? My voice is a little bit.
Any commissioner questions or comments?
Yeah, Wendy, what makes you want to be on the board?
Well, I sit on the board of the ACEA, the Chelsea Economic Development Corporation, and the Ducktown Economic Development Corporation. And I've seen all the great things that the ACIA has done in helping to better our communities, and I really would like to be a part of that.
Very good.
Any other commissioners?
Just say thank you for your service. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, thank you. Thank you. Any other commissioners? Okay, anything from the public? Okay, seeing, hearing none, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns? Yes. Corsi? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Greatly appreciate it. Okay, that brings us right into our resolution, and that's Resolution 508.
Grant application and acceptance from the State of New Jersey Division of Mental Health and Addiction Services for the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act Disaster Response Crisis Counseling County Grant, amount not to exceed $15,000.
Move. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Bertino, seconded by Commissioner Parker. Any commissioner comments? Seeing and hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns? Yes. Corsi? Gatto? Yes. Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 509.
Federal aid calls reimbursement agreement with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for fiscal year '24. Federal aid funding for the construction costs associated with the resurfacing of Ohio Avenue in Absecon, amount not to exceed $976,787.42.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Ballas, seconded by Commissioner Parker. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Grizzly?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 510.
Federal aid calls reimbursement agreement with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for fiscal year '24. Federal aid funding for the construction costs associated with the resurfacing of California Avenue in Absecon, Pleasantville, and Egg Harbor Township, amount not to exceed $1,357,442.74.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Parker, seconded by Commissioner Gatto. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Grizzly?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 511.
Grant application and acceptance from the New Jersey Department of State Division of Elections for the primary and general election day 2024 grant program, early voting, amount not to exceed $87,397.55.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Burns, seconded by Commissioner Bertino. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Grizzly?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes. Motion carries. Resolution 512.
Grant application and acceptance from the New Jersey County's Excess Joint Insurance Fund Commissioners for the Munich Safety Grant Program, amount not to exceed $2,790.60.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Ballas, seconded by Commissioner Parker. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Grizzly?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes, motion carries. We'll go into professional service agreements with Resolution 513.
Amending Resolution Number 39, adopted on February 6, 2024, a professional services agreement with Angels in Motion for recovery support services to reallocate funds, net increase $50,000.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Parker, seconded by Commissioner Bertino. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have roll.
Ballas?
roll call.
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Grizzly?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 514, please.
Professional services agreement with various firms for the provision of surveying services, amount not to exceed $135,000.
Moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, seconded by Commissioner Burns. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Grizzly?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 515.
Amending Resolution Number 471, adopted on September 5th, 2023, a professional services agreement with Dixon Associates Engineering, Limited Liability Company to provide design services and construction administration for the Estelle Manor Park to extend the term date only, no additional cost.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Burns, seconded by Commissioner Parker. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Grizzly?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 516.
Amending Resolution Number 210, adopted on May 7, 2024, a competitive contract with Jewish Family Services for the provision of discharge planning and re-entry services for homeless and inmates of the Atlantic County Justice Facility, net increase $125,126.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Burns, seconded by Commissioner Parker. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Grizzly?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Go into bid contracts with 517.
Bid contract with Tri-County Security NJ to provide security guard services to Atlantic County, amount not to exceed $3,219,264.16.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Ballas, seconded by Commissioner Burns. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Patino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 518, please.
Bid contract with Constellation New Energy to purchase electricity for various buildings, streetlights, and traffic signals, amount not to exceed $3,383,915.08.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Bertino, seconded by Commissioner Gatto. Any commissioner comments? Commissioner Bertino?
Just the comments for 2-year period.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Patino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes, motion carries. For change order, Resolution 519.
Change order number 1, a contract with Alaska Mechanical Incorporated for the Mays Landing Library HVAC upgrades to extend the term date only, no additional cost.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, seconded by Commissioner Ballas. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Patino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 520.
Interlocal services agreement with the Atlantic County Improvement Authority to provide construction management services for the Estill Manor Park entrance pavement restoration project, amount not to exceed $21,285.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Parker, seconded by Commissioner Gatto. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Dallas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 521.
Memorandum of Agreement with Communication Workers of America, Local 1075, Department of Human Services, Division of Public Health, and authorizing a formal written collective bargaining agreement incorporating the terms of the MOA for a 4-year period commencing January 1st, 2024.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, seconded by Commissioner Burns. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes, motion carries.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
could I just briefly interrupt and ask a question? Are we having technical issues with our,
Yes.
we are, someone just said that they're in the meeting, but they're not hearing anything from us. So I don't know if that's what's happening with Corsi or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
He's
probably-
on, but I just want to follow him.
Gotcha. Okay.
IT's here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution 522.
Amending Resolution Number 607, adopted November 14, 2023, a memorandum of agreement with the Humane Society of Atlantic County to provide veterinary services to abused or neglected animals to extend the term date and an increase $2,500.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Bertino, seconded by Commissioner Gatto. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 523.
Resolution authorizing the sale of obsolete vehicles and equipment through an online auction, revenue generating.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Ballas, seconded by Commissioner Gatto. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Bring us to Resolution 524.
Bless you.
Shared services agreement with Middlesex County for the housing of Atlantic County juveniles at Middlesex County Juvenile Detention Center.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, seconded by Commissioner Ballas. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 525.
Memorandum of Understanding with Morris County for the housing of Atlantic County juveniles at the Morris County Juvenile Detention Center.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Burns, seconded by Commissioner Parker. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none. Anything from the public? Do I have a roll call?
Ballas?
Yes.
Martina?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Grizzly?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes. Motion carries. Resolution 526.
Alternate method contract with Excella Incorporated to provide proprietary software licensing and support, amount not to exceed $164,200.66.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, seconded by Commissioner Burns. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none. Anything from the public? Here are roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Martina?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Grizzly?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes. Motion carries. Resolution 527.
Grant application and acceptance from the New Jersey County's Excess Joint Insurance Fund Commissioners for the Munich Safety Grant Program, amount not to exceed $19,450.
Moved.
Second. Moved by Commissioner Burns, seconded by Commissioner Gatto. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none. Anything from the public? Do I have a roll call?
Ballas?
Yes.
Martino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Grizzly?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes. Motion carries. Resolution 528.
Amending Resolution Number 416 adopted on August 1st, 2023, in agreement with the Atlantic County Improvement Authority to provide construction management services for various capital projects to extend the term date only, no additional cost.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, seconded by Commissioner Ballas. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none. Anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Grizzly?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes. Motion carries. Resolution 529.
EUS contract with 3+1 Company Incorporated to provide quarterly liquidity and treasury services analyses, amount not to exceed $87,990.
So moved.
Second. Seconded by Commissioner Rizzi. Motion by Commissioner Rizzi, seconded by Commissioner Gatto. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none. Anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Grizzly?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 530.
Memorandum of Understanding with the Bergen County Workforce Development Board and the Atlantic County Workforce Development Board for trauma-informed coach training, no cost.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, seconded by Commissioner Parker. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none. Anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Grizzly?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 531, please.
Grant application and acceptance from the PetSmart Charities for the Adoption Prep Grant, amount not to exceed $35,000.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, seconded by Commissioner Bertino. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none. Anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Grizzly?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes, motion carries. And brings us to Chapter 159, which is Resolution 532.
New Jersey Transit, FTA Section 5311, 2024, in the amount of $475,522 with a county cash match of $145,087.50.
Moved.
Moved by Commissioner Burns, seconded by Commissioner Gatto. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none. Anything from the public? We'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Grizzly?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes, motion carries. This time I'll entertain a motion to combine and adopt resolutions number 533 to 539.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Commissioner Parker, seconded by Commissioner Gatto. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none. Anything from the public? Do I have a roll call?
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Grizzly?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 540, please.
Grant application and acceptance from the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness for the federal fiscal year 24 State Homeland Security Program, amount not to exceed $218,052.36.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Burns and seconded by Commissioner Gatto. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none. Anything from the public? Roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Fortino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Horsey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Frisbee?
Yes.
Hearn.
Yes, motion carries. A resolution 541, please.
Resolution urging the state of New Jersey to take an incremental and targeted approach to adopting the proposed Protecting Against Climate Threat Resilient Environments and Landscape rules.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, seconded by Commissioner Parker. Who's going to speak?
Presentation.
Mr. Lomax is.
Mr. Lomax.
Yes.
Would you like to come up and speak to us on this?
Administration. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Peter Lomax from the Lomax Consulting Group.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for the invitation, I appreciate it. First off, I just wanted to open by saying it's been a real pleasure to work with your planning department. Both Renee and Bob have been very easy to work with, super collaborative, and when you're dealing with 1,000 pages of DEP regulations, it's nice to have easy folks to work with in the process. I'd also like to acknowledge Jim Rotella. Jim and I have been working to understand these 1,000 pages of new regulations since the pre-proposal version of the rules, which I think that was maybe back in June. I think in June when we started to pull apart these new DEP regulations. So what you have up in front of you is some graphics that I think will be helpful as we go through the rule. But just as kind of a quick introduction, my background is in environmental consulting. For the last 30 years, I've been dealing with land use permitting in the state of New Jersey, but particularly with an emphasis in the Pinelands and in the coastal region. These new regulations impact really the most of the state beyond what you might think, because they update existing rules that the DEP is currently working with. This rule proposal flows directly through the executive branch of the state government. Didn't go through the typical legislative process. This came out of Executive Order 100, Governor Murphy's Protecting Against Climate Threats policy, where DEP was specifically charged with developing new regulations that would further restrict development in flood-prone areas and in anticipation of sea level rise over the next 75 years. DEP has taken their approach to these regulations using what they consider to be the best available predictive climate science. And as I mentioned, this is 1,000 pages of new regulations which serve to update the coastal zone management rules. You may be familiar with them. So under the coastal zone management rules, that would be waterfront development, CAFRA, and coastal wetlands. These regulations also update the Freshwater Wetlands Protection Act rules. So anything that is regulated with freshwater wetlands or transition areas. These regulations also update the Flood Hazard Area Control Act rules. And lastly, the stormwater management rules. So a bit of a different animal. We're currently in a 90-day public comment period. The rule was officially proposed on August 5th of 2024. The 90-day period runs through November 3rd, so we have about 3 weeks left in public comment. And it's important that we all understand, those of us who live and work in the coastal zone and rely on the economy of the coastal zone, really need to understand these rules, what they will regulate, and how they will change the face of not only new development and redevelopment, but also the manner in which we're able to rehabilitate structures in the coastal zone. If we can jump forward one slide. There were 3 public hearings that DEP hosted. One was in person, the other 2 were virtual. And then, as I said, we're in the midst of the 90-day period, and there is the opportunity to continue to submit written comments. And it's so critical that the county and the municipalities understand how these rules impact their capital projects, their future capital projects, how these rules impact their existing zoning, and the manner in which folks are going to come into construction offices and look to be doing renovations to their properties. So It's important for the state to understand what the concerns are coming from what is really a disproportionately impacted portion of the state, that being the southern counties. We can skip forward one slide. So the next slide will be how we got to two very important numbers with the regulations. The first number is the year 2100. This is the planning horizon that DEP has selected for these new rules. So the year 2100 is what these rules project. So the conditions anticipated to exist in the year 2100 are the conditions that we're going to regulate presently and through that 75-year period. Beyond that, the other important number is 5 feet. What you see in front of you is a statistical matrix that was put together by a scientific, technical, and advisory panel assembled by Rutgers University. We did a 2016 study and then a 2019 study, and what they concluded was that by the year 2100, assuming moderate greenhouse emissions, that there was a 50% chance that sea level rise would exceed 3.3 feet by that time period, and a 17% chance that sea level rise would exceed 5.1 feet by the year 2100. That's represented by the two color-coded rows in front of you. DEP selected the more conservative of these two sea level rise numbers, so they went with the 5 feet to include in these rules. And by selecting this more conservative projection and also the year 2100, the belief, as DEP has represented, is that infrastructure and critical buildings and residences that are built over the next few years, the next few decades, could conceivably be in existence by the year 2100, and therefore they want to develop or permit those structures with the expectation that they could be impacted by conditions predicted for the year 2100. Let's skip forward one slide. In 1,000 pages of rules, you can imagine there are a lot of changes. Two of the most impactful are the creation of a new regulated area called the Inundation Risk Zone. The Inundation Risk Zone is the area expected to be underwater by the year 2100 on a permanent basis. The other area of new regulation is called the Climate Adjusted Flood Elevation. This would take the current 100-year flood projections and add 5 additional feet to that. So the expectation that if we had 5 feet of sea level rise by the year 2100, that our flood zones would also be impacted by an additional 5 feet. So what you see in the image here is kind of a layer cake composite where at the bottom we have current sea level, and we add 5 feet to that for the predicted future sea level, and that is what's identified on here in yellow as the inundation risk zone. Again, the area that is expected to be permanently underwater by the year 2100.
Just a point of
Sure.
clarification. The inundation risk zone, is that the 50% possibility it is, or we're sure that is where it's going to be?
Well, so that is assuming the 17% probability exceedance.
That's
So,
what okay.
and it's, I don't mean to get too technical here, but it's not a 17% chance that sea level will be 5 feet higher.
Right.
It's that there's a 17% probability that sea level will exceed 5 feet by the year 2100.
Yep.
There's a slight distinction there. But again, this is predicted 75 years into the future.
Yes.
And I'll circle back to that in a little bit. But you can see and by the way, as I go through this, please don't hesitate to fire out questions as we go.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I've been having a problem with this resolution from the time I read it, because it's simply asking us to take, as the state of New Jersey, to take an incremental and targeted approach to identifying proposed changes. That's making a lot of assumptions on the state's plan. You're assuming technology is going to stay the same, energy generation is going to be the same. I'm assuming they're using today's data based on where we're at today. Because I'm looking at this thing going, some of the some of their forecasting, to me, is so to the extreme.
Oh, yeah.
I don't understand what they're even looking at. And I appreciate you coming and explaining to the public, because doing this through an administrative style as opposed to the legislative style allows no impact from the public or discussion to occur. So they're forcing it on us to try to say, hey, we're okay with this plan in place, and we're asking you, it is terrible, terrible. But go ahead.
So-
It's just, I have a big problem, as you can tell.
So I try to take, as best I can, a balanced approach to dissecting this rule. Clearly, I have my own personal
Me
feelings on it.
too.
But one of the things that you point out by going through an executive process is there is a biased stakeholder input. And one of the things that we're concerned with is that by putting the rules together with the understanding of adapting to climate change and sea level rise, and we're not here to deny facts, and we're not here to deny science. But to make such a drastic move, obligating the regulated public for something that might happen 75 years in the future is unprecedented in terms of land use regulation. This is by far
Absolutely. I'll say it for you.
the most drastic land use change since CAFRA was adopted originally, and has the most far-reaching impact to all slices of the socioeconomic pie chart. So let me just get through some of the rest of these provisions, and then we'll open it up to some wider comments and questions here. But if we can jump forward one slide, let's just talk about the inundation risk zone itself for just a moment. So in this graphic, pretty clear. We've got typical residence that's situated along the shoreline, and what happens, especially in the southern counties that have less topography than in other areas of the state. When we take this example and we add 5 feet to it, let's jump forward one slide. Notice where the shoreline is presently and where it moves to. 5 feet of elevation in the topography of South Jersey moves significantly in the horizontal direction. In the northern part of the state, 5 feet can be absorbed much differently than in our low-lying areas of the county, as well as along the Bear Island communities. So what happens in the inundation risk zone? Well, any new development, any redevelopment, or any rehabilitation where the rehabilitation costs rise to the level of substantial improvement. That means 50% of the market value of the structure. And we can get to that number very quickly, given construction costs and material costs these days. We get to substantial improvement very quickly. Any residential construction or any critical facilities or critical infrastructure that's developed within the inundation risk zone has to go through a separate permitting process. And in that permitting process, the applicant will be required to do an impact assessment, looking at what will the impact of development on that site be, not only to the site itself, but to the surrounding properties. In addition, an on-site alternatives analysis will be required, where the applicant will have to look at what is the proposed activity. Can it be shifted on the property to have less of an impact than it would if it were in the current proposed location? And the no-build alternative is certainly one that will have to be addressed as well. And then thirdly, there's a risk acknowledgement, meaning that with the approval of that activity, there will be a deed notice requirement in the permit where forever the title for that property will be indicated by having a deed notice, and that deed notice is anticipated to state that there will be X number of feet of inundation on that property by the year 2100. DEP currently does that in their present permits, where if you receive a permit for a single-family home, you have to file a deed notice that says under storm conditions there could be as much as 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet of floodwaters that would enter the property. This is a little bit different in that we're not just saying during a storm event there is the potential for flooding. This would be permanently attaching to the deed a notice that says this property will be underwater by the year 2100, or portions of the property would be underwater by that year. And certainly, what goes along with that is the concern for assessed values, and then by extension, the rateable base that our communities rely upon. The inundation risk zone does not regulate commercial, industrial, hospitality, gaming, or recreational structures. Let's come forward one more slide. So how does this impact Atlantic County? Well, it puts 59,000 acres of Atlantic County into the inundation risk zone. That's just under 17% of your total land mass. And it can have no effect, as it would for the borough of Una, or it can have a really substantial and dramatic effect, as it does for most of your Barrier Island communities, and also your mainland communities that are situated along the Tuckahoe, Great Egg Harbor, and Mullica Rivers, where you have residential communities and certainly critical municipal facilities that exist in those areas as well. This is of great concern because it relates to critical buildings. And without getting into the minutia of the memo, and I think it's been shared with you already, we looked at the number of critical facilities that exist in the county, and there are, I don't know, I think Bob, we estimated right around 300, maybe?
Over 300.
Over 300 critical facilities in the county, many of which would fall into these regulated areas. So this is just an overview of Atlantic County, and then we've broken this map into quads. So if we just kind of slowly move forward in the slides, we'll see various sections of the county. Just keep scrolling through. So we see how much of this inundation risk zone is concentrated around the Barrier Islands and then also the river systems. So next is the climate adjusted flood elevation. Again, this is taking the current FEMA mapping for the 100-year flood and adding 5 feet to it. So you'll see the layer cake effect in the current graphic, and then if we jump forward one more, notice what happens to the house. So when we add 5 feet to the current flood elevation, I think you're familiar with the fact that in order to comply with flood rules, your finished floor elevation has to be 1 foot above the base flood elevation. So as the flood elevation increases by 5 feet, so does the finished floor elevation for new development, redevelopment, and rehabilitation, substantial improvement. This is a particular concern for folks who endured Hurricane Sandy, Superstorm Sandy, and then went through a very thoughtful, expensive effort of raising their homes and bringing it to current flood standards and going through some coastal resiliency planning. After this rule, potentially finding themselves back under the design elevation that would be needed if they were to have reconstructed today. And this is particularly important because, again, any substantial renovation where you're adding floor area, height, changing the number of units would require that you go through this process as well. This is a concern, again, in Atlantic County because it's disproportionately impacted given its proximity to the coastal zone and to existing flooding along its river systems. This brings nearly 30% of Atlantic County into flood hazard areas. And if we just flip forward one slide, we'll see an overview of the county. And what you'll see in orange are the existing flood hazard areas, and then the additional 5 feet expands that flood hazard area into the red that's shown. But what this graphic doesn't really do a good job of is explaining that if you were in the orange and you were compliant, this adds 5 more feet to that, right? So I guess maybe the orange should all be red as well. This is not only a concern for habitable buildings in the tidal flood hazard areas, but what adds insult to injury, and this is more the case in Atlantic County than in Kipman County, but because you have river systems where some of the floodwaters are generated through the fluvial process. In other words, the downstream flooding, so precipitation that lands in the headwaters and begins to accumulate and then flood into the river system from an upstream location. Where that occurs and meets with the flooding from the ocean coming in, you have this overlap of fluvial and tidal flooding. And in those areas where you have fluvial impact, these rules require a dry access requirement, meaning that for multi-residential dwelling units, for critical buildings, basically any occupied building, residential or critical, that's more than 1 or 2 single-family homes or duplexes, this now requires dry access, meaning that there has to be at least one road of accessing the building that is 1 foot above the new flood elevation. So think about your roadways. Think about how many of them flood in a normal event. And now we have to go to the flood elevation plus 5 feet and then an additional 1 foot to establish dry access to those facilities. This is drastic by any measure. As you might imagine, and I think as I indicated earlier, there are substantial changes to these rules. I've just touched on 2 aspects that are particularly important and more drastic than I think we've seen in a lot of other rules. Some of the shortcomings of this rule really doesn't anticipate that in the coastal zone we see construction cycles more frequently than in some of the other parts of the state, where residential redevelopment on the Barrier Islands or in the coastal communities, we could see 2 to 3 cycles of residential construction in the next 75 years, where we're planning for the 75-year outcome right out of the gate. There are some other aspects to the rule that I thought I would just mention. There is an exception for Atlantic City in terms of having the ability to maintain subsurface utility lines on the beaches. That is prohibited. While it's currently allowed, it's prohibited for other coastal communities, but Atlantic City, in support of the gaming industry, will continue to be allowed to have subsurface utility lines on the beach to service the beach bars and restaurants. Some of the other aspects of this rule include a provision for offshore wind development, where currently offshore wind development is required to go through an alternatives analysis and to avoid shellfish habitat. This rule provides those developers to trench through those shellfish habitats and then pay into a shellfish mitigation fund for the damage that would occur to those resources. In addition, there are some substantial changes, and Renee had asked me about this earlier, and we were commiserating on how often you do a road reconstruction project that is less than a quarter of an acre. It's not very often that occurs, but road reconstruction that exceeds a quarter of an acre will require compliance to bring that road elevation up to be as close to those new standards as possible. It's not a mandate, but you have to demonstrate how financially it's not possible or operationally it's not possible to bring that road up, but you will have to elevate the road to some extent. This does not apply to milling and repaving, but once you get into addressing the road base or any of the utilities in that roadway, you then have to bring that facility into compliance. The list goes on, and I would like to sort of wrap things up here and give you the opportunity to ask any additional questions. But in closing, I guess I would say I'm concerned about the economic impacts of this rule, and the analysis that has been done to date in the rule proposal was based on what are the economic impacts that occur after a storm. There has not really been a comprehensive analysis of what are the economic impacts by implementing this rule immediately and having the regulated public have to adapt to change, to such drastic change in such a short period of time based on a longer predicted planning horizon. And I think that's really the basis of your resolution, which is to pause, have the opportunity to not deny what science is telling us. We do need to adapt, but we need to do that in a thoughtful, planned out manner. We can adopt some element of change, of elevation change, and begin to develop our regulation to that, and then be able to look back and how did that predicted elevation change compared to the actual results that we experienced over that time, and then make the next planning horizon. So this can be broken down into an iterative process. And in the meantime, we should be looking at trying to assess how we deal with the economic impacts of property tax implications, infrastructure costs, redevelopment costs, how this would impact low and moderate housing and the redevelopment of properties for housing. And also, and most importantly, how does this impact ADA accessibility, where we're taking the finished floor elevations of properties and increasing them substantially, especially in Barrier Island communities that already are squeezed with their bulk standards. Front yards and side yard setbacks are now going to be consumed by switchback ramps or switchback staircases to get to those higher elevations, or the need to retrofit with elevators. So I think that's probably enough for now. I hope I haven't turned your stomachs too much, but I think it's important to understand what's being proposed. And most critically, it's important to get the message out to the public and to the municipalities so they can speak to their residents and prepare themselves for to address this in public comment. There is very few weeks left, and it's important that the state understands that this has a disproportionate impact. We're not trying to deny the ability to adapt over time, but this is too much, too soon, too quickly. Thank you.
Yeah, just one, I think, important point too is following November 3rd, completion of the public comment period. I guess that if they're gonna make changes, they could and will make changes, but it's scheduled to be filed for adoption in the spring, summer of 25 is what I read.
That's correct.
So it's like soon, like
Yeah,
real soon.
So it's a great question. So the way the process works is all the public comments are received by the state, and then they go through a process of addressing those comments, and then they can publish their responses to those. In the interim period of time, they do have the ability to change the regulation. There was some discussion early on in the process where DEP indicated that any change or any substantial change to the regulation, in other words, if they were to say, okay, maybe we won't go for 5 feet, we'll reduce it to 3 feet, that would require them to repropose the rule. There seems to be a softening of that position, that maybe they can make those types of changes in the interim without having to repropose. But you are correct. There will be a period where they address all the comments, and then because they filed the proposal on August 5th, they will have until August 4th of next year to file the adoption documents to move forward with implementing the rule. But the concern is that we need a pause long before we get to that point, so that these rules can reflect the needs of the coastal zone and, again, provide the opportunity to adapt over time.
As I stated earlier, Mr. Lomax, thanks for explaining it to us, but it doesn't give me any comfort in listening to your discussion on how this proposal's been put in place. Obviously, from the NJDEP, they're looking to fundamentally change development and construction in any areas that are wetlands or water areas. Happens to impact Atlantic County a lot stronger, I guess a lot more harsher than it do some of the other communities up north that simply don't have the wetlands infrastructure and communities in place. I honestly don't think, I think they're going to take back our thoughts and concerns, since we're asking by the resolution to pause, and they're going to go, okay, well, we pause, and they're going to still implement the thing. Because, for me, I have a big problem with it, because it didn't go through the normal legislative process where everyone can have a say at the legislature level and bring back some of the comments that the citizens is going to directly impact. They'd be able to bring. Doing it this way simply circumvents the normal process for hearings to make it a little more easier to implement. And I hear what you're saying. I mean, as I stated earlier, guys, I have a real problem just asking for a delay or acceptance, because I really think some of the approach they've taken in implementing the rules really wasn't fundamentally done the way to give the public an opportunity to be heard and how they're going to be impacted. It's done, for me personally, I think it's deliberately done that way to implement it.
There are some key industries in the coastal zone that really do not feel as though they've had an opportunity to address these impacts. The hospitality industry, for one, hospitality and tourism, but also commercial fishing has considerable concern with these rules in that they're port facilities that will have to go through any kind of rehabilitation. It's consider the cost of doing a home renovation. Imagine when you're considering the cost of a seafood processing facility. It's very easy to get to that substantial improvement metric. And for their finished floor elevation to change by 5 feet, it changes the way they process, it changes the way they offload their vessels.
They won't have a
It
business.
requires re-engineering the equipment to offload
They
their
don't have a
vessels.
business in that area.
It's a real concern to them as well, and they feel like they've been left out of the discussion.
Madam Chair, yeah, I agree with Commissioner Bertino. I don't know why we're tiptoeing around this. I don't know why this resolution doesn't ask the state to dump this plan, get rid of it for the reasons that you just put forward tonight, and have that in our resolution. This is a word salad. This is, please pause. First of all, they're not gonna listen to a word we say anyway. No matter what resolution we've ever sent to the state, we've never got a response. But it should have some teeth to it. This is pause. Well, we asked them to pause on the windmills. You see where they went.
I think the key here, probably the most significant impact that you as a governing body can have is to energize your municipalities and energize the residents to ring in on public comment opportunity. That's what's going to catch the attention.
Yeah, I think if the public heard what you had to say today, there wouldn't be anybody, or very few people in this county and probably in this state that would agree with this plan. And this is just a plan, so the wind turbines can be put out in the ocean and Murphy can make money on them. Because he's invested in them.
Yeah, I'm concerned too, Atlantic City. How do you exclude
I know.
Atlantic City
Because that's where
from the
cables are coming in.
regulations?
That's where the cables are coming in.
Water rises there as it does everybody. That's why it's fundamentally, the thing is, in its whole concept, is wrong. The process, how they went about it. Not where all of us agree there's got to be some adjustments made to our climate and some concerns we all have with using common sense. We have to look at things a little bit different, and we understand that we can't do it like we've always done. Again, Jersey, sure, I'm inland, I got trees around me, but I could see how this would fundamentally change all the way to county. And not for the better, it's just simply, you won't be able to work here, you won't be able to live here, the cost to do business, there won't be anything. So I think it's gonna, and without more teeth, I kind of agree with you, Commissioner, and I know we all feel the same way. You can tell from just looking around the room, our faces were pretty much mortified by what we're looking, what the impact's going to be of this administrative-driven proposal. I have a real problem with it.
Just a question on that point, and I don't know if you'll know this answer, it's probably more of a administrative answer, but if this rule can be enacted through executive order or administrative order, can it be undone the same way? So if there's a new governor?
Sure.
Well, I want to,
I don't know.
want to assume it,
Once
Don.
you start,
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah,
once it starts.
okay.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, right now where we're sitting, this is a flood zone all the way up to Route 9.
All waterways.
Even in Superstorm Sandy, when, the state took on a ton of water, the only water that was on this ground was the stuff that came out of the sky. Didn't come out of the ocean, didn't come out of the bay.
Yeah, I think the concern is that we don't ever see, well, I don't know ever, but I can't recall in my 30 years of land use regulation where I have seen regulation removed. I've seen a lot of it added, but I don't see less regulation today than I have in the past. And the concern is that once it's out there, it's very hard to pull that back.
So
Yeah,
if
for the
we
genie
want to
factor.
add more teeth to this, I mean, can I just make a suggestion that on where we say now therefore be it resolved, maybe we say that the Atlantic County Board of Commissioners strongly rejects
Rejects.
the proposal
Yes.
and recommends at least the following. be done, and, because I think the list that is given there is like, hey, you need to do more analysis before you even think about marching forward with anything like this, right? So I don't think we wanna throw it all out. But I think adding the language in there that we reject the plan as it is.
Fundamentally rejected.
Yeah, I mean, I would
Conceptually,
make that motion to amend.
And demanded it goes through the legislature.
Oh,
Okay.
Microphone.
yep.
Hi, I just wanted to add a couple things, I'm sorry. Thank you. Renee Knowles, Department of Planning. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Lomax for, the tremendous effort that he's undertaken to take 1,000 pages of proposed rules and condense them into something that we can understand and try to digest in such a small amount of time. The purpose of today's resolution obviously is to put a pause on the rulemaking. This was the last commissioner meeting before the comment period, so there isn't really time to revamp too much or consider another resolution during that time frame. We are considering separately putting together comments that, more strongly oppose and go point by point with some of these rules.
Right.
But this was, just something that the commissioners, could consider today to put a pause. And something I also wanted to add is that FEMA is also in the process of updating its mapping. And this process is coming before FEMA completing their process. So Kate May already passed a resolution, you're considering a resolution tonight. I know a lot of municipalities are coming out and not just opposing, but also requesting that pause because things are moving so quickly that, there's limited opportunity to act.
Hey, Renee, thank you for your comments, if I can.
Sure.
Thank you for your comments and concerns and stuff. I understand where you're coming from, and Mr. Lomax, as stated, we do appreciate all the time you've put into this and breaking this all down. But my concern still is going to be, as a governing body in Atlantic County, if I send a resolution that asks for just a delay, that's what I'm saying. And I'm not getting a sense here that the commissioners just want to say that. So I want to be, listen, I'm speaking for me, but you're right. I think it should be worded stronger, so that we're talking about rejected. I think that should be part of that resolution. And I have the problem
We
with
can
the
do it now.
language.
Sure, absolutely. I just wanted to say separately, we are,
Nobody seconded it. So.
that we are considering, putting forth formal comments as well. But surely, if the wording, if the commissioners would like that wording to be stronger.
Absolutely, for me. I have a real problem just looking at it the way it is. So.
We do have a
As do
motion
we.
in a second, just to,
Mhm.
do that. Mr.
Thank you.
Vitale?
Yes. Good evening. Jim Rotella, Rotella Associates. We represent most of the coastal communities in Atlantic County. Wanted to let you know that Brigantine, Port Republic, Atlantic City, Ventnor, Summers Point have already passed resolutions. The others are going to be passing resolutions. I'm going to give you a little context here. When this process started several years ago, the state set up a stakeholder group which consisted of academics and environmentalists. No one from Atlantic County was included. None of the municipalities from Cape May County or Atlantic County were included. And the process went on. We found out about this. We approached Senator Palestina. Senator Palestina immediately set up meetings with us, with DEP. We had 3 meetings. Senator Palestina was at all the meetings. We went through for hours the issues that we had with all of these, all the recommendations. And at that point, we didn't even have the draft regulations. We just knew generally what they were considering. None of the things that we discussed at those meetings were incorporated. None of the changes have been incorporated in these regulations. To date, every municipality in Cape May County has passed a resolution. Cape May County has passed a resolution. Monmouth County is considering a resolution right now. It's starting to become more of a statewide issue. It's hard for legislators to consider an 1,100 pages document. And so we're catching up. And it's becoming more of a statewide issue. Many major developments throughout the state would be impacted. Redevelopment of our communities would be impacted. In Atlantic County alone, we have an $8 billion tourism industry annually. Annually. That would be seriously impacted. And there's been no analysis, as was mentioned earlier, there's been no analysis of the economic impacts of this. To the Commissioner's suggestion, I would recommend that you take language right out of Senator Palestina's editorial that was in the press last week. And I'll just read it real quickly. He said, I am asking the state to withdraw these proposed regulations and to work with the legislature and FEMA, the Army Corps of Engineers, our counties and local communities to come up with a comprehensive strategy with reasonable regulations and funding to assist homeowners and businesses to adopt these new rules. Right now, they're not including anything regarding funding. This is just regulation. There's really no money dealing with, making the area more resilient. That language really covers it all, I think, and I think in that way you would have a much stronger position. Thank you.
Just one question, if I can, Jim.
Yeah.
The resolutions that all these communities passed, did they have that language in it?
Most of them did, yes. Similar language.
Just keep in mind, Madam Chair, it's not your resolution, it's the administration's, right? So we haven't, I'm not saying you can amend it, but it would be sort of different than what we've typically done.
So we either gotta vote.
What do we do? How do we?
Just stating to you
Amend
that
that.
The administration would have no problem adding that and amending it for that language if that's what the board wants to do.
Right, if we're voting on it, I think we can amend it.
Oh, sure, yeah, I'm just telling you.
Yeah, okay,
Right.
yeah, right. Jerry, you're fine with that.
Yes.
With the language that Jim's just speaking to, that Senator Palestina had talked about, that should be incorporated into it.
If the board concurs with the language, I would say amend
Makes sense.
the resolution for the language.
I'm fine with it. Makes sense to me.
Yes.
So on this resolution, then, we're gonna have to, Mr. Solicitor, we're gonna have
So-
to not vote on this resolution, or ask for it to be amended, because it's pretty
Renee's saying there's a time sensitive.
The next commissioner meeting is after the public comment period.
submitted before November 3rd.
Can you do it by phone?
All right, so
Well, Amy's working here.
well, here's my suggestion to you all. If you want to make a motion to amend to delete the current conclusion, the now therefore part, adopt the language articulated by Mr. Ratala that was written by Senator Palestina as your new therefore provision. Make a motion to amend it, and then make a motion to vote on it in that format right now. And I think it'll be all right. We'll get it out in that regard.
Sounds good.
Does that work for everybody?
It works for you?
Madam Chair, does that work for you? Probably
Oh,
should.
yeah, no, that definitely works for me, but Amy's working.
Well, I was trying to pull up the comments so that we could, just use the language, but I think he just.
Do you want also to reject, because his article doesn't talk about reject. So do you want
It
reject
says,
and
so I think the, I
It says
think the
withdraw.
motion would be.
withdraw,
Withdraw.
Hold on.
Commissioner Buchanan wants to reject.
formally reject and withdraw that, so.
Okay, so the amendment to the current resolution on the table, I have it. Would be, now therefore be it resolved that the Atlantic County Board of Commissioners, rejects and joins with State Senator Palestina to withdraw these proposed regulations, to work with the legislature, FEMA, the Army Corps, our counties, and local communities to come up with comprehensive strategy with reasonable regulation and funding to assist homeowners and businesses with the new rules. That's what we would say at the end.
Perfect. I'll second your motion.
So that's my motion to amend. Yeah.
So just, vote on the motion to amend, and then you just vote on
The whole thing.
the resolution as amended, yeah. So you got a second. and you just
So
need
we
to
have a
vote.
motion and a second to amend.
We already have that. There's a motion.
So yeah, I think just-
You're withdrawing your first motion?
Hold on. Right now, we have this on the floor. Tara, did that come in before the motion that we have on the floor?
What?
Regardless, what's us to-
Motion to amend.
Yes, we pulled, so I'm not putting that motion. With what Ernest is saying.
Well, ask Ernest if he's making a motion to.
So the motion on the table is to amend the current resolution, right? Commissioner
Yes.
Gatto just
Yes.
offered a motion. So you have a first and a second to amend it in that format, and you would be voting to amend it in that manner. And then your second vote would be to approve the resolution as
As
amended.
a-
Okay. So Mike, okay, we'll just go. Okay.
I can't tell, is there?
Okay, Corsi here.
Obviously, he can.
You can, but can he speak?
Can, of course, he speak some? Can we get him to speak?
Is you're asking if he's making a motion?
He has the
to withdraw.
capability
He has to unmute himself, yeah.
if he unmutes, so. Does Commissioner Corsi want to make a comment?
I thought he had a question for you all. I think he was raising a question, but I'm not clear if we answered it or not.
If he can hear us, he needs to unmute.
Commissioner Corsi?
In the absence, I think there's.
He can unmute himself.
Yeah. We have a motion and a second to amend, as I stated.
Right, but we had a motion and a second for your first, so you're withdrawing. Right, all the first one.
Withdrawing the first motion to amend.
There was a motion and a second.
Yeah, we're amending it. No, we're not.
Can't amend the amendment.
So we have a motion and a second to withdraw the first one. Right?
No, you have a
Go
motion.
ahead, yeah. It's withdrawn.
This
Yes,
withdrawal.
okay, so that's withdrawn.
So we have, as I read on the table.
Yes,
Yes.
as read.
That's right. Any commissioner comments? Okay, we'll have roll call.
You want any public comment on it?
Any public comment on it?
Well, we gotta take a vote.
On the amendment as read.
We gotta take a vote on the amendment, then take a vote on.
Yeah, but she's asking for public comment to the amendment.
Yeah, for the record, you don't have any public comment.
No public comment. Okay, we're gonna take a vote on that.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Corsi? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes. Motion carries.
Okay.
Okay, I make a motion to adopt as amended.
Yes, correct.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Gatto to adopt as amended, seconded by Commissioner Parker. Any further comments for the commissioners? Anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Corsi? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you very much. I appreciate all the comments, appreciate everybody being here. Okay.
And just want to say, Mr. Lomax, thank you, because I think that's a very easily digestible presentation for the public to understand. I mean, I know there's a lot of science that you probably could have gone into, but I think that was a really great and easily understood presentation for the public. So just thanks for helping get it to that level.
I appreciate the feedback,
Yeah.
but
No,
Jim,
thank-
Jim's been instrumental in trying to understand these
All
rules
right,
also.
thanks
It's
to
been a
you
great,
too,
great,
Yeah,
Yes.
and Renee and everybody,
Yeah.
thank you for all your work and working with these gentlemen. I understand you're also doing one with Cape May County. That's gonna be virtual, is that what I understand? Something like that. With NDOT, is gonna be doing one.
yeah, so the Cape May County's holding a couple town hall meetings. Lower Township had one. I think there were about 800
Yeah.
folks in attendance.
So thanks for that, coming out.
Ocean City is hosting one on the 30th, and Cape May City, I think it's the 22nd, maybe?
Good, we all gotta come out strong, so thank you very much.
You're welcome, thank you.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to combine and adopt resolutions 543 to 547.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Parker and seconded by Commissioner Gatto. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none, anything from the public? Here we have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Corsi? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 548.
Authorizing consent for a roadway solicitation event by the Atlantic County Symphonic Band at the intersection of Ocean Heights Avenue, County Route 559, and Zion Road, County Route 615, in the Township of Egg Harbor on Saturday, October 19, 2024, and Sunday, October 20th, 2024, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Moved by Commissioner Burton, seconded by Commissioner Parker. Any commissioner comments? Being hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Horsey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Grizzly?
Yes.
Bird?
Yes, motion carries. Okay, resolution 549.
Resolution authorizing a closed session requested by county council regarding pending or anticipated litigation and/or a contract negotiation in which the county is or may become a party requiring confidential communications.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Burns, seconded by Commissioner Gatto. Any commissioner comments? Any comments from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Horsey? Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Grizzly?
Yes.
Bird?
Yes, motion carries. The board will now go into a closed executive session to discuss the matter noted in resolution number 549. Attendees will see executive session in progress. Please stand by until the meeting resumes. Okay, I'll now entertain a motion to resume the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we've now come out of executive session where no action was taken. Written communications, we've received some copies of written communications. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none. Any reports of special committees of the board? Seeing, hearing none. Any unfinished business? Seeing, hearing none. Any new business? Seeing, hearing none. Anyone attending in person that would like to speak now, public comments, please come to the podium, speak into the microphone, state your name and town you reside. I don't believe so. Is there anyone attending virtually? Okay.
No one's online, Madam Chair.
No one's online?
Nope.
Any comments for the good of the order?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner?
have a safe and happy Halloween.
I believe this is our last meeting before Election Day.
Yeah, and tomorrow's the last day to register to vote.
Okay, so, and we have early voting coming up on the 26th, so hope everybody gets out there and vote. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.